Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I wouldn't be here at this hour if I didn't have anything really important. So what I want to go over today is Jay's responses to some of your more harder hitting questions and concerns. So Jay and I, we've been in email contact since the interview. He's asked me how well it was received, what feedback it's gotten. So I did send him the consensus as far as like what the audience has been saying. And I sent him some screenshots of some of the more tougher comments and concerns that I've gotten. There was a few in particular that I sent, and some of them he was kind of taken aback by, but he did give some good answers, which I'm going to actually go over now. One thing I want to go over, since the interview, I've done videos on covered calls. I did a tutorial on covered calls because I think it's important the audience understands how covered calls work. And he also suggested that as well. So there's two things. My two videos since the interview, the covered call tutorial, if you haven't checked that out, please do. I go over on the E-Trade site how covered calls work, and I go over an example covered calls, how to pick dates, strike prices for premium, and basically more or less what they're doing. I'll go more in depth on other option strategies. I could definitely do an options tutorial. The second thing I did, which has been very well received, and I also told Jay that I did this too. I did, and this was the last video I did a day ago. I did the DCA analysis of reinvesting the dividends, and I said in like 3 out of the 5 scenarios you would still be ahead. In a couple of the scenarios since the year to date, if you bought in, you'd be way ahead, even with the NAV erosion, as some of you call it, or the decline in price. So with all of that being said, let me go over what Jay responded to. So a couple of the comments I sent him, he said, wow, that's kind of disappointing to read. He said, trying to help people use these complicated vehicles is hard to do. He said, in reality, and this is straight from his mouth, I'm actually reading his email. In reality, reinvesting isn't necessary, but it helps with improving total return, which is a concept, and this is what he said, it's a concept some of your followers don't seem to grasp. Not me talking, that's him. People who think they can just take all the dividend income are going to lose in the long run, is what he said. Here's the thing about any covered calls that some of your followers are forgetting. The income from the call is what you get for giving up the upside while still taking full downside risk. All right. The premium received for the calls we sell is meant to help offset the down days. So when the underlying is down, if you've taken all the dividends out of the account already, all you have is a position that will decline. The cash is part of the strategy. And he told me you really should help your audience understand covered calls. So, and I responded to him and I said I did the video on that. Now, the comments that I did send him, we got a lot of comments about, oh, basically he needs the cash flow so that him and his team earn higher fees and stuff like that. Some of them got a bit, shall we say, meaner than that. So I did send him those because he wanted to get a pulse on, you know, the overall, how people were feeling. And I showed him, I said, these are some of the things I omitted from asking. And, you know, of course, I did get feedback that I wasn't tough enough in the interview. So I did send him the ones that didn't come up. And that was his response. So I did let him know, I said, I did do a lesson on covered calls in the post-interview. It did turn some lights on for people, was received well overall. But some are still shut off to, you know, this whole idea of these funds. I said, I'll continue to try. Overall, the interviews were received well. So that was his response. I'll try to, after this is posted, after I'm done with this, I'll try to timestamp where I go into his direct response. I hope that was good. It was pretty blunt. I mean, he did say flat out, these funds are going to decline. So from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So definitely, you know, I recommend everyone watch this and play it over if needed. And by the way, a couple of you have noticed, it just so happens that I have a YieldMax hat that was sent to me. So, I figured I would just put it on from time to time. Also, my hair is pretty messed up. I'm normally not doing videos at this time. I'm actually working from home today, but this normally isn't a video time for me. But I'm going to be very active because on my other channel, on the podcast channel, we're fixing to have someone else on. So I can only stay here with all of you fine folks for a little while longer. Otherwise, I'm going to have to sign off pretty soon, even though I've only been going for 5 minutes. I will read some comments, but before I get into comments, I just wanted to give a special reminder since Black Friday is coming up and Thanksgiving's coming up. I wanted to be extra generous, and I wanted to offer the spreadsheets I've gone over recently. Those normally have a retail value of about $2,995. But what I'm going to do, since I'm such a kind-hearted individual, I'm offering those for a Black Friday discount with promo code THB. You can get the spreadsheet for a one-time cost of only $9.95. So that's a 2/3 discount. Since, like I said, I'm such a kind-hearted individual and just want to help all of you all, I'm taking a 67% price reduction so that you all can have access to my fine spreadsheet analysis. So just thought I would throw that out there. It's a joke, of course, but it's not far off from what a lot of grifters and scammers do. So got to make light of it, So anyway, let me read some comments here. Hoffman says, Cecilia's on, of course. Howdy from Texas. And then we've got Mucus of Wander Home. Hopefully Jay talks about his plan to assure us that Tesla does not reach $1 in share price will be achieved based on its performance, and explains to us how we aren't constant shoveling dollars. Well, he was pretty clear, pretty blunt on what he said. Martin Me says, question for Jay. If selling calls are a bearish play, how was the dividend for Tesla so huge in July when Tesla was very bullish in May and June? My assumption, based on how I understand covered calls to work, I think the premium was higher because the stock was higher at that time. Pretty simple. Thought that would have gone through the sell calls. Okay, Cecilia said she was biting her nails. Well, hopefully you have some nails left after that. Does Jay have a reverse split plan? We didn't get into any of that. I hope it doesn't come to that. I'm sure he has said, the second interview I did with him, he has said that they would do that if the need arose, but hopefully that doesn't happen. I just like to hear that plan if or when that is on the table. He did mention that it is on the table. Hoffman's funny. I'm gonna skip over this one. Hey, been gobbling up tons of funds lately. Have to love it. I want one of those hats. I'll give you 2 shares of Tesla if you send me one. Well, if you super chat me, I don't know, like $50, I'll send you the hat. Or if you buy my spreadsheet for the one-time special promo price with promo code THB of only $9.95, I'll mail you the hat. So anyway, what difference does it make if they are? Did SVOL really raise their expense ratio? I haven't looked. Darn it. I was about to get back into SVOL. I should have never got out of it, actually. Believe it or not, I got out of SVOL to buy Tesla. Yep, nope says yes. Or should it be yep? Okay, I'll read the rest of the comments and then we'll call it. Any way to squeeze my positions even more? Do you have a date on the new YieldMax? No, not yet. Full credit to Jay for following up, offering some clarity. I agree. He's been as transparent as he can be. All Fridays matter. Hoffman's got jokes. Your spreadsheets keep going up in price. Well, I have to join the inflation bandwagon. Or maybe I'm just raising the price since inflation really doesn't exist. It's just a mirage or whatever. I guarantee you next year we won't hear the word inflation in the media hardly at all. Let's see. I thought he was making another joke because he's just so full of jokes. It's the new YieldMax ETF. That's what I should be covering. Oh, the AI ETF. I have to play games with you all a little bit. This wouldn't be so much fun without doing that. By the way, Hoffman, I'll knock off another $5 off my spreadsheet price just for you. $1.16. Free 99 is still too much. Some of these people's products, it would be too much if they paid you to use them. They're that bad. let's see. Let Jay know I really don't think. I think it was actually one of your comments that I sent to him. So if Tesla gets very bullish again at 10 to 12 per share, can we get 80 cents again? I'm sure we can. I'm sure also if Tesla stock runs back up, which I'm sure it will. This is just a snapshot in time. You guys have to remember. So, we're going to get back. I think we're going to go higher again because Tesla stock will run up again. The whole market will run up once the Fed starts cutting interest rates, which I assume will happen next year. Back in the day, Jay said Tesla will follow Tesla up 5 to 15% on upside if Tesla goes up slowly enough, blah, blah, blah. It should. Now he has a different story. These ones will go only down. Well, what's changed is they're going closer to in the money than they were before. So their target was 5 to 15% out of the money. Now they're like right at the money to get maximum premiums. And that's what he said. The name suggests YieldMax, maximizing returns, right? One of my favorite people here, who I rarely see comment on here, says, let's see. I watched your video spreadsheet just confirming the yield was positive year to date. It was in 3 of the 5 scenarios. Now, October, we hit all-time lows, so October might be a bit skewed. We're up a little bit from there, but not by much. We hit a low of like 1093. So even at 1093, in 3 of the 5 scenarios, we're up. And those are mainly if you bought in like at the beginning of the year. Potato SB says, we would love for you to stop by in Discord. Which one? My own? I do try to check my own often. I'm not a genius, but he's flip-flopping, you say. The funds falling is inevitable with slight gains. Either way, it makes them buying opportunities to get more for less. I just like to see these last 10 years plus. Maybe, yeah. Can we have your number to call you 24/7? And you want my number, huh? I don't know. You can, you have my email. It's in the channel description. It's lifechangingfinancialconsults@gmail.com. By the way, my coaching rates per hour haven't gone up. I'm still charging $50 per hour for that. New expense ratio for SVOL is 116. What was it before? Tesla ran up 14% month to date. It's down today because I just looked. Anyway, all right, you all. Well, it's been real and it's been fun, but I'm going to have to call it there because I'm actually prepping for a podcast guest on the podcast channel. So we hit 100 subscribers on the Brewing Returns, our Brewing Great Returns podcast. So definitely subscribe and check that out if you haven't already. As far as today, that's all I have for you all. So like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you all for tuning in. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back with an audiobook part 2 very soon.